Having coffee again today with Mike Sotosky from up Somerset Way.
What's up, Scotty? Welcome to America's County.
Look at this den he has for us, Ev.
John Morocco Speed and Performance Center. This is where all the horsepower magic happens. When he's not racing circle track cars up at Jennerstown Speedway, him and his boy Mick and Dewey and the gang, they make horsepower here.
How'd you ever hook up with John?
You know what?
How long have you known John?
I've known John for a lot of years. You know what, Scott? It's interesting. He's always been a gearhead of some point, and of course, he builds trucks. He's a successful business entrepreneur building trucks.
I was telling Evan about his truck building.
He's nationally known. Morocco Welding, Morocco Trucks.
Almost every triaxle I see has his name on it.
Yeah, right on the back of the mud flaps.
Yeah.
You can't miss that bulldog Morocco, that bulldog logo. John is universally known as probably one of the kindest hearts, one of the most generous.
Well, it's easy to see that, even just being around him in general, you see that.
Correct. Humble human beings. And maybe, Scott, that might be a good segue before we get into all the fun stuff that you and I have been kind of planning to talk about. Our good friend John experiencing some health issues. Certainly not going to dive into the details other than just to say, literally just in the last 24 hours, has been placed on the UPMC liver transplant list.
Called the Starzl Clinic.
Okay. I got to make sure and tell Morocco he can't be running the steps at Jennerstown Speedway or anything.
No, he's going to slow down a little bit.
Yeah, we need him to just slow down and relax and let UPMC. And I apologize. Could you repeat the name of the clinic, the UPMC?
It's called the Starzl Clinic, and that's named after the guy who started all transplants right here in Pittsburgh. Yeah. This clinic that he's involved in is like the Cadillac of transplant places.
That's fantastic.
He's in the right place.
Well,
so I wish him the best, and if there's anything I could do to help John, any questions he might have. But the good thing is he's down there where they have. They make you go through a lot to get to that point. Mm-hmm. You go through psychological stuff, a million different tests, and they want good candidates because there's a limited number of organs.
Yeah.
So they got to be careful who they're giving them to.
Well, John, I hope that makes you feel better. And you Jennerstown Speedway, we got a lot to do.
A lot of living still to do.
A lot of living to do. So that's for our good friend John Morocco. Feel free to send him a message of support on his Facebook page. Send it to me, even on my Facebook page, Mike Sotosky. I'll make sure he gets it. In conjunction with John, if there's one thing he's excited about, Scott, is another invasion of the Skooterville Bike Show, which is a show within an event started by John and my good friend Tom Bozzella right down the road here. You passed coming up here. TriStar Motors, TriStar Ford.
Another good guy.
Oh, my heavens, another heart of gold. TriStar Ford, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram on North Center Avenue here in Somerset. Tom's another hot rodder.
But he has a shop that's just hot rods too, right?
He does.
Like first, a lot.
He does. He does have a lot. I
twist my neck going past you looking around.
His sales representative there is our good friend Mark Roy, and we have a lot of fun. There's truly a lot happening here in the Somerset area.
Well, let me just ask you a question right in that little statement, because I live 50 or 60 miles down the road, and right outside of Irwin.
Sootersville, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Sootersville.
That's a capital.
Cousin of Skooterville. Anyway, what I noticed though, because I have a girlfriend that lives up here.
Yep.
And hang out with you guys up here, and it seems to me that this is a super dense hot rod numbers in this. I don't know what's going on up here, but this is hot rod heaven up here.
It's very interesting you say
that.
I
think people might think I'm BSing them when I would tell them that don't see it.
We've heard that many times actually, and being Somerset County is more of a rural county, but there is.
You think?
As you come up the mountain.
Yeah, I just rode up it.
But I'll go back to what you said 30 seconds ago. It is a dense hot rodding and motorcycling car culture, gearhead culture area.
If you just go out here on Center Avenue on a Saturday, Sunday afternoon,
Yep.
like you're just going to see a parade.
Yep. We're very fortunate, and I don't know what it is. I personally, my cousin Jack raced the Jennerstown Speedway. I grew up around race cars. Me and my younger brothers were always
As soon as you started driving, you started getting into
classic cars. Yeah.
Me too.
I grew up in the 80s when, we were still throwing chains around limbs of trees and yanking motors and doing that stuff. Those days, unfortunately, are gone. But
my dad used to call them shade tree mechanics.
Shade tree engineering. Absolutely. Yep. But I've always been around it. I'm going to brag a little bit about my beautiful 1965 Ford Galaxy, 352 cubic inches of FE horsepower that I have a ball with. And
my dad had a brand new one when I was
but we have a lot of fun with it. And
there's so many styles in car collecting. And that's one of the great things about Cars for Kids. You see it all. It's all going to be there.
That's what's very cool. Yeah. Everybody comes. And I think that's what has made this show so unique. Not that the fact that we're helping kids, because you've been around fundraisers your whole life. Nothing draws more attention to helping kids and veterans. I think that's a major draw when we can utilize our passion, our gearhead passions, to drive to an event, be a part of it. But what's nice about this show is we want to appeal to everyone. And the Skooterville Bike Show is basically a show within the event.
Right.
The event is TriStar Cars for Kids. You've successfully helped make a show within an event. And I'll give kudos out to our good friend Jim Senkowitz. Jim he's the Western Pennsylvania guru, the regional guru of drag racing.
All the dragsters know that.
And what we have successfully done with TriStar Cars for Kids is not only create a show within an event with Skooterville, we've now created a show within the event with the Jim Senkowitz drag racing exhibit. And, when we're a show that's pulling in over 40 straight line, quarter mile, eighth mile drag cars are coming to an asphalt circle track to support kids.
Yeah, you don't see that every day.
No, and it seems to be even.
But there's antiques.
Correct.
There's gassers.
Correct.
Motorcycles, antique motorcycles.
Everything.
Everything. I mean, you will see it all there. You might even see a little trike.
You're going to see a lot of trikes.
A lot of little trikes.
Thanks to our little visit that we had, was I guess around Christmas time, we were invited out to Berlin Brothers Valley High School here in Somerset County.
Who supports the show?
Absolutely.
Did you see them, Evan?
I'm telling you.
They come in with their straw hats on.
They are very cool. And it's going to be even cooler this year. Unfortunately, and I don't want to get into the educational politics, but a lot of metal shops, wood shops that we all grew up in. Evan, I don't know if you had metal shop or wood shop. You wood shop. A lot of those classes have gone to the wayside in a lot of
budget cuts
in public school programming. It has not. They've been able to keep it alive in Berlin Brothers Valley. Well, there's a group of about 20 kids led by their instructor, Mr. Dan Miller.
That Dan's incredible. Every teacher should be him.
Every teacher. We brought the Jurleys out there. It was kind of funny. Liz Jurley was negotiating to try and get them to. You need to come to this school district. You need to start this all county-wide. But yeah, Dan Miller's a great guy. And
those kids are learning more in his class than all their other classes combined.
Absolutely. And they're using math from their math classes in that shop. And they are fabricating.
They're doing machine work. They're doing fabricating. They're measuring. A lot of kids now don't even know how to read a tape measure.
Well, let me tell you.
I'm telling you, it's the truth.
I believe it. I absolutely believe it. I will say this. These kids certainly do.
Yeah, they do.
And what they're building for us, it's going to be one of our grand prize auctions. They are creating a one-off customized trike. Evan was at the show last year at TriStar Cars for Kids. You saw when them kids all come in, about 15 of them on their trikes. I mean,
turned some heads.
Everybody stopped. Well, we're going to do the same thing for them, and
They should make a lap on the track.
Yeah, they should. They have created, and they came up with all this. Them being kids, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids, they're calling their project Kids for Kids. And
that's a good name for it.
Kids for Kids. And their trike project that's going to go into the auction is CAH-001. That's going to be the VIN number. Children's Aid Home 001. And I have a feeling there's going to be some people who are going to want that.
Oh, yeah,
and
number one.
There'll be some cash flying. But here's the greatest
that
thing.
auction gets the big bucks guys flow, and they got to win. They got to win.
Oh, some of these guys, it gets personal.
Yeah.
They got it.
Yeah.
You ain't get it. That's coming to my garage.
Duke's, we're watching the bids, and Duke turns to me and says, we're out.
I probably said I was out long before you guys did, but yeah, and the thing is, it all goes back to the Children's Aid Home, and
tell us a little about the Children's Aid Home, and how that meshed in with. You already knew John before that,
correct? I was.
Who started it? They did, or you did, and you went to them. They came to you.
Well, the Children's Aid Home has actually been there in the new campus where you visited,
right?
Where you, Duke, and RJ came. That was built. That campus was built in 2001. So we're actually getting.
It's a nice facility.
It's a nice facility, and it gives the kids a nice home. The kids that don't have a home,
right? They got a safe place. Now.
We have a safe place, and you know what? It gives them the best feeling of home as possible.
Kids need a safe place.
You got that right, and they need to be surrounded by love and nurturement from our staff. But
so, what year did you go there?
I started working there about 2 years ago. However,
oh really? Oh, I thought it was longer.
But I have been involved with the Children's Aid Home through my other. I was a social worker here in Somerset County.
So that linked you up with
it's Bedford, Somerset County Developmental and Behavioral Health Services. So I had always had dealings with Lynn Sablotsky.
Putting kids in and out of there.
Correct. Providing supports, educational supports for the kids who were there. But
interesting.
But we had been doing, when John and Tom wanted to do something for the kids, you know, it was no different than a bunch of guys. What can we do? We have all these cool cars. We have bikes. What can we do with these things and be productive other than going out and, you know, burning tires every weekend, you know? And next thing you know, we're going to do something for the Children's Aid Home. And I said, you can't, you know, and I kind of explained to them exactly what goes on up there.
So would you say then that your involvement in the hot rod world, you already knew about it, but that brought you to them. And then ended up becoming your job after that.
Correct. That's exactly what happened.
Wow.
That's exactly what happened.
You never know where your life's headed.
It isn't it. And you know what? I'm no spring chicken either. And it's funny how God's plans change for you as life goes on.
Right.
You know, and
you ask for all this stuff, but he gives you what you really need.
Isn't that the truth?
It's really
that is such a spot on.
So lucky we don't get what we ask for sometimes.
I think I know what I need. I think I know what I want.
You do, yeah.
But
you know what you want, not what you need.
He knows.
Yeah.
And he puts us in a place to be productive. And I could not be in a better place in my life with my lovely wife Teresa, my children, Sammy, Nina, and Mikey.
I see all your Facebook stuff. I don't even know how you do it all between your job, your hot rods, basketball, church. I mean, you got it all going on.
How's this?
Do you ever sleep?
Oh, I do. And I'll tell you what, in all honesty, I've been blessed. It's really, honestly, Scott, I'm humbled and flattered by what you're saying, but it makes me feel good to know that it's really not that bad. This is a labor of love.
Right. Yeah. If you're doing what you love, you can do it.
And then I have cats like you and your grandson calling me to be on podcasts and sitting in front of a blown 55
look
Chevy.
What we're up to today.
You know, does it get any better?
There's people paying to sit in a place like this.
So, but yeah, that's kind of where that's kind of where we're at. And
so then you get to where you decide you're going to do something. And John says, let's have it at the track.
Absolutely. That was the logical place.
Yeah, of course. But here's what's weird about that. A lot of guys, first of all, because of this dense thing you got going on here, you have a pool, for a good start.
That's true.
So between that and the availability of the whole track for you, that gave you an instant room to take off.
Correct. Both physically and mentally and emotionally. We had the physical location.
Yeah.
Kind of a beautiful layout. But then you go back to what you had said about the denseness of the car culture community here. I could sit and rattle off. There is the Laurel Highlands Mopar Club. There is
the Street Lords.
The Street Lords, absolutely.
They're a bunch of derelicts, I heard, in Street Lords.
Yeah, here's one of them.
There's
right
the leading derelict right there.
But another club that has just been phenomenal, and that is the Johnstown Street Survivors Car Club. They're just phenomenal.
They provide some support at the event.
They are all in, yeah. And I'm going to mention a couple people by name. And I know a lot of times you miss people by name, but if you're watching this Street Survivors, trust me, we can't thank you enough for all that you do. But I'm going to go to a guy by the name of Bob Miller and Denny Mullen, who they are just all in when it comes to helping the kids and doing whatever they can. Their wives, Pammy and Sue, when there wasn't anyone at the gates last year, when cars were coming in early, guess who went up with buckets?
Yeah.
Just said, give me a bucket, Mike. Give me a bucket.
Somebody's got to be over there, so they do it.
They just do it. People step in. And I can go on and on about this, but
that's all the car and the bike culture is.
Absolutely.
They just all want to help,
Absolutely. And how about the old adage, you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. We have such a circle now. We have developed such a circle that includes you, includes Duke and RJ. I'm going to give a shout out to my buddy Billy Rupert and his lovely wife Shelley.
I just ran into those guys the other night.
Bikers,
more great people.
Bikers helping others. A lot of people don't know this. They never even wanted a shout out. And if Billy gets mad at me, he can.
No, he won't.
They came to the last two. They attended the last two Skootervilles.
Well, it was weird. I told you about this buddy of mine, and you said, "Wait a minute, I know that guy."
Him and I worked together at Latrobe Speedway.
At the track up there.
He was the flagman, and I was the announcer. But they came up and they donated bunches of money. They came, to be a part.
They have their own organization called Bikers Helping Others, which is now defunct.
The BHO.
BHO. And that was a great organization.
One of the last things that they did, they came up here on December 18th. I remember the day. It was a Saturday.
Good with the memory.
Well, it was a day that I'll never forget because Billy called me and he said, "Hey, Mike, listen, we have a bunch of brand new items that was given to us by
Christmas stuff, I bet.
Dick's Sporting Goods."
Yeah.
I said, "We absolutely think your kids could use these." I said, "We absolutely can." Here comes 4 pickup trucks on a Saturday morning, cases of stuff from the Bikers Helping Others Motorcycle Club for our kids. And it touches me now even emotionally. Those, and we wanted to take them out to eat. Let's take them to tailgates. Let's get lunch. No,
we got to go.
This is what we do. We don't need any reciprocation. Warms your heart to know that there's still people like you and Billy and RJ and Tom and Barry Jurley. I can go on and on and on.
Another good guy, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good people in what we do. And
that's the best. That's the biggest reward of being involved with Cars for Kids. Is my reward is, you get to help the kids, but you get to meet all these great people.
That's exactly.
It is such a nice feeling.
That is such a spot-on assessment.
Yeah, it really is.
I've made so many friends, acquaintances, and friends through this.
I got my picture taken this year with 3 state comps. I didn't even have the bracelets on. And I ate dinner or lunch that day with the judge.
You did. You had a couple Somerset County judges there. You were sitting having lunch with, and
3 state. Each one of them clubs was like this big. Dude kept saying, "I'm not wrestling that boy."
There was Officer Steve Borowski. That was Sheriff Deputy. That was our sheriff,
the big giant one,
Dusty Weir.
Yeah,
one of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet. He has a 48 Ford. I might be wrong. A little bit of money for them kids, but
you think it's in bad taste to say how much money Cars for Kids does? I think it's a bragging right.
No,
No, it's not a bragging right. It needs to be said, I think, because people need to know how much good's coming from it.
It's not bragging. I think, if anything, it's a testament. I like to share it because it's a testament
To the givers.
to the givers.
Yeah.
To the people in the car and bike culture and the drag racing and the racing culture. I'm going to work backwards because I didn't bring my notes with me, and I can probably only go about 5 years. But Evan, if you want to do some math, here we go. We'll work backwards. Working backwards kind of takes.
We'll let somebody watching do the math.
Kind of takes the climax out of it, but whatever. Last year, thanks to everyone, we raised and handed over $72,000.
That's what I thought it was. That's incredible.
It's incredible.
That is incredible.
And it's all donation driven. It would be easy to say, hey, $10 a person, $5 per passenger. Listen, come to our show, make a donation of your affordability.
Right.
If you can go in and buy a 50-50, great. If you can buy a strip of tickets, fine.
If you want to bring your kids, come on in.
Correct, right, come on in. In 2023, we handed $44,000.
That's a big jump by percentage right there.
That's nearly 30,000.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot in 1 year to increase.
Correct.
What do you think made that happen? Was there a couple substantial things that happened, or just a lot of little chunks?
I think there was, honestly, Scott, I think there's a lot of little pieces of the puzzle that came into place. Number one is using Skooterville to appeal to the biker community. It was John Morocco that said, well, we need bikes here. Secondly is what Jim Senkowitz did in bringing the drag cars. People love seeing floppers and that funny car body.